It was something the community had talked about for years. But this week, the Cowessess First Nation announced the preliminary findings of 751 unmarked graves near a former residential school. The work now continues to confirm those findings and to put names to some of those graves. Joining me now is the Chief of Cowessess First Nation, Cadmus Delorme. Nice to see you, Chief.
Good morning.
I appreciate you talking to us after a long week for the community. You did hold a vigil there last night. What was that like after such a long week?
You know, the community, friends and family of Cowessess came together. Those flags were replaced with little solar lights. There is a shared picture on social media right now. Every day, Rosemary, is about healing now for the survivors and friends of survivors that went to Marieval Residential School. An image like this doesn't matter if you're Indigenous or not. It definitely, we all stand beside each other one day at a time to get stronger.
Yeah. You have said you want to put names to these unmarked graves. How difficult do you think that is going to be practically and then I guess emotionally too, to have to name some of the people buried there?
It starts with the team, Rosemary. We have already assembled a great technical team. And, there's different flows of information. We're going to have our seniors, elders, knowledge keepers. We have to capture that. We have the Roman Catholic Church information, and they have not denied us our information. I just want to confirm that. We just don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And then there are records of, we have some grave diggers. I'm trying to think of a more proper term that have been on Cowessess for years. Some have passed on, and they've always written. So just capturing all this information. The tough part is going to be, is this the exact location? As you've seen in that picture, they're like 1 meter by 1 meter apart.
You said this week that removing a headstone is a crime. It did become a crime at one point, and you yourself are treating this like a crime scene, although obviously there's a memorial aspect to it as well. A lot of people have talked about the potential criminal investigation into what happened in Cowessess and what happened throughout the country. What is your view on whether that should happen, Chief?
When pain and suffering, someone needs to be held accountable. And, there is the Cemetery Act of Saskatchewan. And to remove a headstone in 2021 is a criminal offense.
Yeah.
These headstones were removed in 1960, give or take a year or two. And they were done when overseen by a priest of the Roman Catholic Church. There's different oral stories right now between our knowledge keepers on Cowessess as to what the priest was thinking of the day. Mm-hmm. But the fact is the priest had final say to keep those headstones there or remove them. And today we have 751 unmarked graves. So this is not a mass gravesite. I just have to always reiterate that.
Yeah.
So that is why we are treating this like a crime scene at the moment, just to make sure that if we have enough information, we would like to pursue to make sure someone is held accountable so the survivors can also make sure that, we are speaking for them.
And the RCMP, I think, has said that they will help you with that if you get to that point. I know you spoke to the Prime Minister, too, last week. Have the federal government offered to collaborate on that part of things moving forward?
Rosemary, I have talked to the Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church for our region, to the RCMP, to the Prime Minister, to Minister Bennett, to Minister Miller, to the AFN Chief Perry Bellegarde, FSIN, chiefs across Saskatchewan, even across Canada. Everyone stands beside Cowessess First Nation at this time, and everybody wants to focus to make sure that the survivors and friends and family of the survivors, that this is triggering, that we are all there to make sure we get to the end goal, that every mark will be respected, every spirit will have a place to call home, and that we can somehow bring closure. And maybe not closure, I shouldn't use that word because I'm not a survivor. I'm a chief, I'm a spokesperson, but bring understanding that the world can be a better place.
One of the things that some people have suggested through what happened at Cowessess and Kamloops is pointing to the current child welfare system in this country that does often take First Nations kids out of their communities and out of their families, and that it somehow is a modern day version of the residential school system. I know that you are doing a lot of work to create your own child welfare system in the Cowessess First Nation. I know the Prime Minister mentioned on Friday that you're well advanced in that work. How close are you to having that power, that jurisdiction transferred formally to the First Nation? How important would that be for the community to signal sort of the end of this?
Rosemary, we can control the present and the future. The past is something that is we learn from. We make sure that we don't repeat. Cowessess First Nation has taken C-92 now legislation.
Yeah.
And we have had jurisdiction since April the 1st, 2021. And we have repatriated families. We have worked with provinces, and no province has challenged us yet. But, in order to control our destiny, we have to control the current situation. And the province and Canada have done child welfare in their way since 1951. And I don't think anybody in this country can agree that their approach has been working. Mm-hmm. So Cowessess First Nation is taking this jurisdiction as our inherent right to our children. And in the last 3 months and just about 4 months now, we have had 100% feedback. The federal government has been beside us, and the provinces that have children in our jurisdiction, but in their province, have worked with us coincidentally.
So you are waiting now for this to become official so that you don't run into problems going forward. Is that the idea?
The last thing we're waiting for is pen to paper.
Yeah.
But when you have jurisdiction, you don't need to ask for permission anymore.
Right.
Cowessess First Nation, we followed our constitution. We worked with Section 35 of the Canadian Constitution, and Canada and the province have both looked at us and said, listen, you've done everything right. We just got bureaucracy tape that we have to finalize, but you are alive, and we respect that.
There's a lot of conversations happening right now, Chief, about Canada Day, as you know. Some parts of the country have decided to scale back or cancel. What do you think should happen on Canada Day this year?
No, Rosemary, I would never tell somebody what to and what to not celebrate. That's something that comes from, heart and passion. I do know that, Canada is one of the, most developed countries in this world. G7, our index is nice and low, but that doesn't include. Sorry, I'm on an active road. I hear a car coming. Just
it's all good. It's all good, Chief.
And so, if there's anything I could challenge Canadians to do, and I'm a proud Canadian. I have a passport. When I'm international, I'm Canadian, but I'm Indigenous too. I'm not an Indigenous Canadian because that's colonization right there.
Right.
I am a First People, but I also coincide. I also, coexist on this land we share. So what I would say, Rosemary, to that is this is a crucial moment in our history to read the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action in personal lives, in social lives, in business or not-for-profit lives. Read the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls calls to action. And that's what we should be doing on Canada Day. And if you're a proud Canadian, just realize we all inherited this. Rosemary, you or I or anybody else didn't create residential schools. We didn't create the Indian Act. We didn't create 60 Scoop. But we all inherited it. And if you're a proud Canadian, you must accept that we inherited this as well. And no Indigenous person in this country is looking for pity. We're just looking to stop fighting just to be an Indian in this country and stand beside us. Let us heal, let us develop, and let us coincide as to how treaty was supposed to be at the beginning.
Chief, you're an awfully good spokesperson for your community, and I appreciate you making the time to talk to me again today. I wish you all the best, sir. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rosemary.